What's going on YouTube? This is Jim Fanis, aka Viper Magic, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about console exclusivity. In the background, I'll be playing some Control on Destiny. I've recorded all my video footage using the Share Factory feature and all my audio using a Blue Yeti microphone. So, console exclusivity. Now, there's a couple different tiers to this before I get to my point, so I want to make sure I frame everything using the lingo that at least I'll be using in this video. True console exclusivity means that you're not going to see a title on any other console. So, for example, Mario will never make its way over to Sony. Although, I guess Sega probably said the same thing about Sonic before they got run out of town. But you get my point. Those are games that you're just not going to see anywhere else. Then you have timed exclusivity, and that's where things start to get a little tricky. And I've noticed a trend with that, and I'm hoping, this is my plea to game developers and game companies, that they knock this crap off, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so a timed exclusivity would be the Destiny deal that Sony currently has. Right now, Sony gets all the content, exclusive content for Destiny for 1 year before Xbox owners ever get their hands on it. And before you start doing the flame and fanboy wars, Microsoft does the exact same thing. They do it every year with Call of Duty, and they get the DLC about a month ahead before Sony owners get it. And there's in between, other games fall in the middle, they go back and forth. Ubisoft was really big on that, with PlayStation for a while kind of giving them more goodies, and now it seems like they've switched back with the Unity bundle and the Xbox One. Now they seem to be more back in Microsoft's camp. I know it all comes down to money, and I know money makes the world go round, so I'm not even going to sit here and pretend like I don't know that. Sony, I know, had a hand in Bungie's development. They've said so before. They won't disclose the amount. I know that it is anticipated that Bungie is about a $500 million development game, but it's spread out over 10 years. So if you know anything about acquisition, you know that they probably staff up on the front end really heavy, and then once the game kind of is in a finalized state, they will reduce the amount of manpower down. So, you know, they may blow $300 million in the first year alone, and then $200 million spread out over the next remaining years of the contract. And how that works out, we don't know. What I can tell you is that my best guess is Sony probably gave Bungie somewhere in the range, I would guess no more than maybe $50 million. That would probably help cover some of their initial startup expenses, and then obviously they also paid for the privilege to have the exclusive stuff 1 year in advance. The map, the strikes, all that sort of thing, the weapons, Hawkmoon, all that stuff. So I'm just going to guess 50 million. That's my guess. I don't have any other theory or reasoning behind that other than it just is a round number that I can talk to. So in exchange for that 50 million or whatever set amount, again, let's just pretend 50, so don't beat me up on that, Sony got this data. Wouldn't you much rather have seen Sony take that money and keep it in-house and develop a true console exclusive title? Work on another The Last of Us, or work on another, I don't know, think of a cool game that's only on a console. I think Heavy Rain was only for Sony game, or for Sony. That was a great game. I loved Heavy Rain. So why don't we get something like that? I don't really feel like, as customers, and Sony shouldn't really either, getting their bang for their buck just by switching over to these, switching over to the stance. And unfortunately, Microsoft is doing the exact same thing. They did it with Tomb Raider, the Rise of Lara Croft, I believe it's called, or the Lara Croft Chronicles. Whatever the next Tomb Raider is going to be, they've done that. They've clearly done that with Unity. And look how that panned out. Unity was a flop. And that's not Microsoft's fault. That's Ubisoft's fault. But my point is, all that money that Microsoft spent shoring up that deal, and trust me, money did exchange hands. This wasn't just Yves Guillemot calling up Phil Spencer and saying, hey, bro, we're going to just give you free stuff. And they're like, yeah, that's cool. No. There was definitely a financial arrangement in place. And I mean, you saw how long those Unity boxes sat on store shelves. They're still sitting on store shelves out here in Orlando. I could tell you, I could go to the Best Buy at the Florida Mall and pick up like 50 of those suckers right now. They're just sitting there. They're not moving. So Now, just now, actually as of today, March 10th, Microsoft announced that they're going to be transitioning their bundle from a Unity bundle over to the Master Chief Collection bundle. That was totally a timed move. That was totally because there was probably some deal in place with Unity where they said, hey, we're going to keep your bundle on the store shelves for X number of days, and then we're going to transition over to our own bundles. So again, look at what Microsoft bought for that. Did they really get their money's worth with Unity? No. Did PlayStation really get their money's worth with Destiny? I mean, you could argue that either way. I mean, I think a lot of people thought Destiny was a Sony exclusive, the way that Sony completely locked down that game, and you weren't even allowed to talk about it for Microsoft. You weren't even allowed to mention it in the commercials. I don't even know if it showed Microsoft logos in the commercials now. It might have. I don't remember. But it was very clear you had the PlayStation branding all over it, greatness awaits, all that kind of stuff, and it was very branded in that. So did people go out and buy a PlayStation because they thought that Destiny was only coming to Sony? Sure, I'm sure they did. But was it enough? Was it enough as opposed to going out and taking that money and shoring up another independent game that was truly Sony's property, not a timed exclusive, but a real exclusive? That's debatable, but in my opinion, the answer is no, they did not. I believe that they foolishly spent their money. And unfortunately, you're going to see this continue on. I mean, we're getting close to E3. We're a couple months away now. You're going to start seeing those deals start wrapping up together. And then there's going to be these games that are ambiguous. Like, is it really coming just to Sony? Is it really just coming to Microsoft? You could definitely tell No Man's Sky is in that boat. And I'm not even sure if it's an exclusive or not. It might be, but you would never know if it's on Xbox because they're not going to talk about it on Xbox. And until the two parties agree and say, hey, you know what, maybe we're going to like call a truce and we're going to not do this to one another, that would just have to be a total gentleman's agreement, by the way, between the head of Sony and the head of Microsoft to say, okay, enough's enough. But unfortunately, that is now the market, and hyping up the fact that the new Call of Duty DLC is coming to Microsoft a month early, that would probably sway some people. Now, eventually, everybody's going to get it. Eventually, everybody's going to get this Destiny content. You're never going to get obviously the console, the true exclusives. Like, you're probably not going to see a Dead Rising 3 on the PlayStation. It is on PC, but I'm trying to limit my discussion to just consoles right now. You're probably not going to see that, but Tomb Raider, we know, is a timed exclusive. How much did that cost? Destiny, we've talked about. There's a bunch of games that are out there. And until the two parties agree that this is kind of a waste of time, they're going to keep hyping it up. And as a developer, they love it. I mean, imagine the press that No Man's Sky has been getting. That guy standing there up on stage, I don't know his name. He seems like a pretty nice, humble dude. He's like, I never thought in a million years we would actually be able to, you know, be on stage here and everything. I know my dog's freaking out about it too. It's okay, Chloe. He's like, never in a million years we would be able to be on stage here. I know Sony paid him a lot of money to be up on that stage, and they probably gave him some development money and said, hey, you're going to work for us now. So as a game developer, they love this stuff. Trust me, they love this stuff. Why wouldn't they? Think of how much money that Bungie and think of how much money that Square made and Ubisoft is making on all these different deals, and it's just not really good for the consumer, I don't think. It creates a lot of unnecessary console wars, and I get it. Sony doesn't care if you are, you know, Sony wants you to go kind of flame Microsoft, and they'll never admit it. And Microsoft wants you to go out and flame Sony. Again, they'll never admit it. Healthy competition is truly important, as I always say. Look at how shitty Madden became because there was no competition. So competition is important, and the two game developers do need to pit up against each other. But I don't know. I think that this is the wrong way to go about it. Hey, leave a comment in the box below. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think I'm way off base on this? I think this is something that it's not gonna get better anytime soon, and I'm not happy about that. Thanks for watching, and until then, I will see you guys on the other side.